All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Chyron venue production webinar series. It's great to see you joining us again for day two as we explore workflows for both basketball and ice hockey productions for the 2025-2026 season. In today's session, we're going to take things a little bit further. We're going to spotlight on some advanced tips and tricks for prime flick effects. This will give you guys techniques designed to really make your graphics pop, elevate the in-venue experience, and keep your fans fully engaged from start to finish. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to submit them in our chat column, and we'll take a few different moments throughout today's webinars in order to pause and answer the questions that you guys have. As always, we will record this webinar and send it to you for your disposal within your company, so that way it can be a resource for you in this upcoming season. We can't wait to get started, so before we drop the puck or tip it off, I'd like to hand it off to Brian Bray to introduce the rest of our starting lineup today.
Thanks, I appreciate that, Jacob. All right, so we've got a great webinar for you guys today. We're going to take a look at some tips and tricks, maybe second level information. Day one was covering a lot of basics and getting started, but now we're going to get into some really good stuff for you, possible usage actually for in-game and whatnot. Joining us today will be Owen Seaton. He's the head of sales, and if you have any questions about sales or opportunities, he'd definitely be the guy you want to talk to. We'll make sure you have that contact info by the end of the webinar. Also joining us is Logan O'Neill. He's with our support team, and Cole Taylor, who's our technical account manager. They'll be doing the bulk of our training for us today, and they are our experts. We're very happy to have them on the team. Also joining us is our ClickFX product manager, Matt Solberg. Matt is the heart and soul of what we're doing, and as we prepare and get ready for new opportunities and updates and take a look at the product, Matt is at the center of all of that. So we're very happy to have Matt with us today as well. So here's what we're going to take a look at today. We're going to take a look at headshot templates, which everybody eventually needs in sports, right, as we start games and whatnot. And we working that through our Prime panels. Taking a look at Prime control panels as well. And some really cool things we've got going there. There's some really neat updates that we're going to be having soon, but we're going to talk about what we can do today. And then we're also going to take advantage of the ClickFX automation functions. You'll definitely want to pay attention to that if you're not using those so far. So I think kicking us off today, we've got Logan O'Neill with our support team. Logan, I think you're going to talk a little bit about headshot templates.
Yeah, today we'll be kicking off the webinar with a headshot template. So to start, I can go ahead and demo the finished product, and then we'll talk through how we got here. Go ahead and play this out and just kind of explain here. So yeah, we have an image, a couple of text objects, names, their position, jersey number, that kind of thing. And then if we click the little head icon next to the blinking data light there and select our controller, this will allow us to control the stats and the headshot that appear on screen. Now that you have an idea of what this should look like, we can go over the steps to make one. So first, we'll start with our data sources. Each one of these are usually built with a source XML, a data view that references that XML, and a data controller. So we'll begin with the XML source. If we go to settings, data settings, and a new window should populate, and we can select our XML sources in the navigation tab. If we wanted to make a new data source, we would select new at the bottom. This will open a new window where we can set parameters for the XML. Going down the list of options here, you'd start with naming the XML, selecting what type we want, so in this case, XPath, the method in which you want to receive the XML, so we'll be using the file watcher, and root node, which we can ignore for now. And since we chose file watcher, the last option will be path, and we're just going to tell it where the XML lives on this PC. Once all these are filled out, you can click OK and your XML source is done. Since we've already created one, we'll go ahead and exit out of that. Next, we want to make our, this is a preview of what it looked like as well. But next, we want to take a look at data views, and this allows us to format the XML nicely for us to see in the system. So to do that, we'll select XML data view on the top navigation bar. And again, we will select new, and a new data view window will appear. Going down the list of options again, we have name, the XML source we just created, and XSLT file option. We'll skip that for the demo. And since there are 3 players for our demo, we will set max rows to 3. Our base path is where our player category, or we would select our player category. And after we select that, we want to remove the bracketed 1 at the end because we would like to see all players within the list. And the last option is our sort order. And this will tell the system how to sort the data we will use. We're going to select a number, and we'd also like to right-click this and treat this object as a number. And to verify, we can collect the preview icon here at the XML source, and we can see what we just did. And our last piece here is to create the data controller. So we click under data controller, we click new, and then we would use the data row selector. We'll name our data row selector. And for in the data views, we'll also select the XML view we just made. And for the data display columns, we'll use add number and name and ensure the number has the check mark. We now have the data side of our headshot template complete, and we are ready to start creating the graphic. So we can hit OK here and exit out of this. So we'll edit our graphic. And with the graphic open, we'll zoom out a bit. So as you can see here, we have our headshot image, a few text objects, a background image, and a team logo over that. Our data controller will control what player image, name, and stats are shown on screen. So we'll start with the image here. First, we would need to import an image with the second descending icon on the left. Next, we will make sure the image is highlighted. And then under our datasheet options, we'll tie this image back to the data view that we just created. Under field name, we'll use the number. Then we'll use the data update options to add a controller to the image. Once this image is linked with data, we will then right-click it to make a key value list. We have one created here, so we'll just edit and show you the options. The main things we will look at here are name, default value, and list. First, you would name the list. Next, you would select an image for the default value. This will select an image to use in place of a player without a headshot. Clicking Add will open a window and ask you to set a key and a value. These keys and values are, the key will be the name of the file you want to call, and the value will be the file itself. We have made this easier on ourselves and named our images by jersey number, so we'll use those for the key as well. Once you have every headshot you'd like, you can apply and close the window. So now this image is fully linked and set up. We can overview how we set the stats portion of the graphic. Each of these stats, along with name, position, and jersey number, are just simple text objects we added using the first icon on the descending list to the left. Once all the text objects are in place, where you want them, you can start to link them to the controller and XML views. To do this, we highlight the text object. Again, using the data sheet, we can select our data view and find the stat within the data view under field name. We again need to tie this to the controller. So within the data update options, we would do that there. And that's it. You would go through and select each stat and attach it to a data view and controller. So now that everything's connected, we can save and close out of this graphic and use the controller to move through the player and the stats. And there you have it. I think that'll wrap up the headshot portion of this. So I'm going to hand this over to Cole, who's going to dive into the control panels for you.
Cool. Thanks, Logan. Yeah, as you can see and how Logan sort of explained there, there's a lot of different ways that we can make graphics kind of work for us. So we're not iterating, everybody on the team into a different button, into a different graphic. We can kind of amalgamate all those players and all the stats for each one of those players through organizing it in our data view, linking it to a controller so we can set it up and sort of punch through our list of players, and everything's going to dynamically change along with it. That's how you would create something like that within ClickEffects, and that's obviously really powerful. It's something very simple to sort of draw up. There's a couple different steps to it, and the functionality behind it, it's pretty basic. When I change that, there's not going to be any big animation that goes along with it. It's just going to be a move to the next data field sort of thing. The next level of that Brian mentioned at the beginning of this call or of this meeting is the integration of Prime and Prime control panels. So two sort of different things to think about. ClickEffects control panels, that's what Logan just showed you, and Prime control panels, we're going to go into some of the ones that we've made on the system here, how they interact with our graphics, and some of the benefits of really like the flexibility of these Prime control panels. We went over it a little bit in the last session Tuesday, but just to reiterate a little bit, one of the first things that we like to do for our customers for setting up their game in progress graphics, their GIFs around their stadium, especially when we're talking about a matchup or what look that they're going for, is setting up a logo changer. So a matchup adjuster saying, it's this team versus this team tonight. So I'll just throw out my two different graphics here that we've already prepped into a remote. We have two main GIFs that we're talking about. So on this SDI channel, if I pop this out, you can see there's sort of a lower chin game in progress graphic down there with a couple different team logos. So it's Golden State at Toronto. Over here on my GPU channels, if I change to my output, you'll be able to see we have a much larger sort of slab style GIF that you might see, in an end zone or around a ribbon board, something like that. So we want kind of how we went over it in the last session. We want to be able to change these from a centralized place, so we're not going into each individual graphic and adjusting what team, what name, what colors that team is associated with. We want to be able to prep that beforehand, so it's really easy for your operator to go in and select that. So that's done with a scene control panel from Prime, a Prime control panel. So this one here, you can see just at the top, there's our tri-codes. So the methodology that we use a lot within our sports packages is using tri-codes to determine what's what. Those are very defined across the league, obviously. And you can create these really nice style sheets, and we'll get into that in a bit here, but creating a lot of nice style sheets to be able to go in and say, okay, when I see TOR, I know that's the Toronto Raptors. I know they use this logo. I know these are their main colors, their secondary colors, what fonts they might have. All of these different things can be associated with that single tri-code. So we'll kind of use that as a bit of our guide to be able to navigate through. Just to show you sort of the functionality of it and how an operator would use it. So beginning of the day, they would pop into this graphic, open up the control panel, and the home tri-code's probably not going to change since you're in the same building, and these systems usually end up staying static. But if this were to be a traveling box, yeah, you would change home and away. Let's say for a broadcast CG package or something like that. But let's say the visit tri-code, we're playing against Houston tonight. I can go ahead and press enter after entering that tri-code. I also have a little drop down here with a bunch of different options that I've sort of preloaded. So there's a couple different ways of tackling this. But you can see just right off the hop, my visit team has changed within my SDI GIP right here. We have a red background. And then if I pop back over to our outputs, just to be able to see the that other graphic, you can see Houston Rockets has changed. It's changed the text. It's changed the background color, the logo, all that fun stuff, just with the quick interjection of a tri-code. So let's start talking about how we can use this to our benefit. And I'll jump into Prime now. So I'm going to close out of ClickEffects, and we'll go into our more advanced editor of Prime. Let me close out of this guy here. And like I mentioned yesterday, so excuse this messy desktop, but we're opening up Prime. As I mentioned yesterday, these control panels are totally customizable. So something that Team A or customer A is using versus customer B, they might have it set up exactly the same, or they might have it totally different depending on their needs for their particular show. Some people like very simple ones where all it's doing is changing the graphics or the colors or calling up a new style. Some people want a lot more tangible sort of control over their graphics just from that single panel. So again, that's a big part of what we do as the folks commissioning these systems and training people on how to use them, giving demos is work with them to ask them, hey, how do you want to use this? Instead of trying to squeeze them into, whatever mold that the software bounds might keep them in. This is very much like a custom integration, a custom design of your workflow for the actual system. Alrighty, so now we're popping into Prime CG here, and this is our interface. This is the first time you're seeing this. If this is the first webinar that you've joined up on, and just to let you guys know, in the chat there, I dropped a link to the recordings from the other webinars where we actually went into detail about how to build these GIPs. So I won't go through from scratch this time, but we'll definitely show you how they're built and how all the data linkage works. But if you did want to follow sort of a step-by-step guide, if you go back to the first webinar, the second day, we kind of went through how you would build something like this from scratch. So I have it organized here just by different sports. Obviously, this is a demo box, so there's quite a lot going on, but let's go ahead and open this basketball folder, and you can see here are the different graphics that I have in my Click Effects system. So these are just different buttons on my grid, and these are the graphics that are tied to them. Just like we went through the editor in Click Effects, obviously it's a bit more of a basic design. You'll see here now that I'll pop into my basketball scoreboard here and click Edit. You can see this is a little bit similar to someone, or if you're someone who's familiar with something like Photoshop, After Effects, some more advanced design and animation software, this might look a little bit more familiar to you. Again, like any of these different softwares, they can usually do very similar things. There might just be a different methodology about taking it over or doing whatever action. But usually once people find out the button and the workflow of this editor, it's very easy for them to step into it, especially if they're used to other nonlinear editors or design softwares. So we're talking about the actual adjustment of the logos, backgrounds, colors, text, all of that fun stuff. Like I said, it's done from a control panel. So I'll just go to my view window up here and pop open the control panel tab. And you can see here, this is my design that I made for this control panel. So obviously up in the top here, we have our game setup. We have the home tri-code and away tri-code. And these are just different items that I've decided to drag in here. So for my toolbox over here, it's as easy as, just saying I want to add a button. Now I have a button to move around and then tie function to that actual button. We'll go through it in a little bit afterwards, how we can build some really cool games with this and some more like fan engagement assets. But for now, like I said, we'll jump into how these tri-codes actually work within the graphics. So I like to start at the control panel and sort of build my way down. And you might have a design already associated or already in mind for doing your game in progress graphic. A lot of people design stuff in Photoshop or After Effects and then bring those projects over to Prime. We can integrate those right in, and we actually have an importer that, again, it's going to hold all of your different file sizes, locations, specific effects, that sort of thing. So very, very useful tool to be able to design in something you might be super comfortable with or somebody else is super comfortable with, bring it over, and then start tying some different cool logic to it and build some of those conditions and expressions and parameters. So we have our game setup sort of portion here. You can see I've just made two different boxes. So this first guy here, it's just grabbing it over here from the text box portion, bringing it in. I'll delete that one, but I'll highlight this, and you can see over on my properties pane here, it's sort of adjusted to reflect what I have here. So I've named it my home tri-code. Here's the text that currently exists in it. And then it's bound to my home.value. So the methodology behind this, we have this text box within our control panel that you type something in, and that gets pushed to what we call a parameter. And if you can see here about halfway down my screen, we have a tab called parameters. I have a couple that are already built in here, but the two main ones that we'll focus on for the logo changing is the away and home. So you can totally name these whatever you want, whatever makes sense logically to you and your show. But these guys here, you can see they're just two items that I can then tie values to, whether that be coming from an incoming data source, coming from a control panel that I've made. So a user inputting values that goes and gets stored in that parameter. And then I can do other things around my system and around my project and around my array of systems if I wanted to. It's important to know that there are a couple different types of parameters. So it's all sort of based on when we're talking about what can see that parameter. It can be at a scene level. So saying just this scene, just this particular graphic that I'm building, that's the only place that this parameter is going to show up, and I'm not sharing it outbound from that scene. It could be a project parameter, which that's the case in this part, or for this particular graphic, because it's being shared to the entire project. So any scene in that project can reference the parameter, and it's only getting changed in one spot, but they're all referencing that parameter as it changes. That's what we're currently going to use. If I had multiple systems, I could do it on the application level. So it can be viewed by essentially any system that's looking at it. It can be viewed by any project that's on that particular system. Really, really handy to use, especially when thinking about like in-venue uses for something like this. Maybe you have a data source coming in for, let's say, like 50-50 or some sort of raffle or something like that. And you wanted it to be accessible to all of your different systems, and you're using the same 50-50 raffle source for, the amount and the winning ticket. You're using that for, basketball, hockey, whatever's going on in your building. That's the source of it. You could, again, set it up within one single scene and one single parameter, share it out on the application level, and now that's visible anywhere on any different project that you have open, any different system that you have. So a couple different levels to how we're sharing these parameters out. So like I said, this is going to live as a project parameter since we want to share it to multiple scenes and affect multiple scenes when we do this change. And then just super simply, this is like my favorite thing to do is keep these as simple as possible so that reverse engineering them and working with them and troubleshooting them is super easy. We just bind it to what we call the style sheet. And the style sheet is that next level of what I was talking about, saying we're going to make a little information packet, essentially a little spreadsheet that says for Houston or for Toronto, here's the file path for the logo. Here is the name of the city, the name of the team, the primary colors, secondary colors, all of that fun stuff. So if you can see here on the left-hand side of my scene tree, there's two different effects that are tied to these two folders. So essentially what we're doing here is we're tying a style sheet to that entire folder to say, anytime that the style sheet changes, and we kind of point it to different graphics, and I'll go over that in a second, we'll make those changes for that particular folder. So we sort of separate it out team by team, just so we're not always looking at the same style sheet, and we can switch teams. We can switch a home team and away team. So if we go back to the canvas, you can see as I sort of highlight over my away team, that's everything on the left-hand side here. And it's a style sheet that's essentially looking over everything within that left-hand side graphic, all the different layers and assets. If I go to my home team, you can see it's created a box showing me that everything in the home team is on that right-hand side. Same sort of list of assets, different names, obviously, to reflect that it's the home team. But we're tying the home style sheet to everything in the home team, the away style sheet to everything in the away team. And let's look a little bit deeper into what the style sheets actually look like from like a physical standpoint and how you might create one. If I go up here to the away team, all I need to do is just click on this little effect here. Otherwise, I could just go to my logic tab. So we're just on parameters. We can go over to logic, and here we have a little style sheet tab. So we have style sheet 1 is tied to my away team. And you can see here on the right-hand side, it's an actual file. So it lives again within the Prime project file structure. If I dig into it a little bit here, just within Prime, and we go to projects, we're looking at the NAB 2024 project. This is essentially everything that's located locally within this project. So zipping stuff up and moving around, very, very, very easy. But if I go to styles, you can see here, I have a couple different ones again, because this is a demo box, one for MLB, NBA teams, and NFL. So if we go to NBA, here are all these different style sheets. And again, just taking a look at what they actually are. We can just pop one open. You can see it's a little bit messy, but the main thing in here are these guys here. You don't have to edit within here. We pull it right into our software and we're able to make those edits. So I've opened up this Houston style sheet. I'll change it to Indiana for say. You can see the tri-code is IND. The team name is Pacers. The team city is Indiana. Here's the primary color hex code for our color picker to change that background. The secondary color hex code. What league do they play in? Again, really, really flexible. And these are all just pieces of information that myself, as the designer, has loaded into this particular graphic. As you can see, so it's literally as easy as just picking a new file, and you can see it's changed everything within my graphic. How it's doing that is through these statements that live in here. So just to kind of review for a second, there's a couple different layers to it, and I want to make it really clear. We're starting at our control panel. We have a box that is then tied to our parameter. That's the home value. So if I go to my parameter, we have our home parameter, and that value is getting put into the value slot of it. It's then getting bound to the style sheet. So I'll pop over here to the style sheet, over to logic and style sheet. Style sheet 2 is my home style sheet, and that's pointing to the file up here. So it's literally binding it to style sheet 2 file, this section right here. So it's just putting the TOR into this file here. If I were to change that to GSW, click enter, you can see it's changed already up here in the file, the GSW, looking at its style sheet with all of its parameters. And then the next layer of it is the logic that goes along with my style sheet to say, let's go ahead and change these values for my different tags. So you can see there's a couple that are grayed out and a couple that are checked. Those are essentially saying within this set of statements, here are the ones that are actually being used. So logos being used. We have our primary color being used. Those are pretty much the two things in this graphic. So we'll take a look of how we actually do that. So here are all these different if statements to say if .tag equals logo, then let's go ahead and attach this property to that particular item. So you can see .tag equals logo, and it's literally looking for that logo text. We're going to change the file to the league value, tricode value .png, which is the file that's actually the image here. So if I go and I actually find the team logo for the home team, let's go ahead and find it here. And I'm looking at the away side. I'm going to click and drag and make this a little bit bigger for myself. That's all the scores. Background maybe. Nope. Home team logo right in front of me. You can see up here under properties, now that I've selected that home team logo, I have a tag up in the top right corner that's saying logo. So that tag right there is calling this this logical item here to say, okay, if I see a tag that is saying logo in it, has that exact text, let's apply this property to it. So it's changing the file to the league value plus tricode, which that's from our style sheet, and it's attaching it to the image right here. Obviously, a couple different layers to this, and as you do it more and more, you get more and more comfortable building these sorts of graphics. But this is something that, again, you're not expected to know right off the hop. If you were to get one of our systems, this is definitely something that somebody a little bit more advanced is either taking the time to learn it, or you've reached out to one of us on the customer support side of things to be able to hop in, help. Sort of how I like to do it. I'll sort of build one side of something and let the customer sort of walk through the next side and ask questions and make mistakes, and then we can sort of work through troubleshooting them from there. So again, feel free to go back to that first video where we build this from scratch. Link in the description here or in the chat. But yeah, that's sort of the working of kind of what's under the hood of these parameter changes and control panels to be able to make these adjustments. To walk you through something a little bit more simpler, to maybe wrap your head around this a little bit better, what we're going to do today, some of the learning from today, we're going to try to create a graphic, we're going to link to this parameter, and we're going to create a screensaver rotation, essentially. So big thing within buildings. So I'll just exit out just to show you guys a bit of an example. Pop back over to ClickFX Prime. And as it opens up here, I'll sort of walk through things. But the idea of what we're going to learn today and what we're going to walk through building today is the screensaver rotation. So instead of having a crazy amount of different buttons to press in your grid, a bunch of different videos to say, okay, today we're playing against it's the Raptors versus Boston, and have multiple videos that are based on that. We can have all of those videos, but have them just as a single button, and then anytime we change those home and away tri-code values within our control panel, it's not only going to reskin our graphics to the right logos, but it's going to point to the right videos to play within those screensaver graphics. I know that might be a little bit to wrap your head around, but we're going to walk through it sort of step by step, and I'll show you exactly what I mean when we launch open ClickFX here. Cool. So we're going to pop over to the GPU channels and just exit out a couple of these windows. I have a tab here or a page called Matches. We're going to import some of our content that we have sort of pre-planned, pre-baked here. So if I go ahead and open my file explorer, and I'm navigating to the content that I know that I want to bring in, I have two sections of content here. One that is 16:9 video. So I'll go ahead and click and highlight and drag those to the top of my grid here. I'll go to 360 and click and drag those to another section in my grid. You can see kind of how I mentioned yesterday, since these two graphics have the sizes that are recognized in our software already. So they have the right resolution to be able to play out on this ring player for these graphics here, and play out on our main screen player here for these graphics here, or sorry, for these videos here. It's already linked those. Just at the top, you see the blue and the orange. We can just go ahead and start playing some of this out. You can see kind of what they are, but essentially the idea would be every single game for every different team in the league, and multiple looks of your different games, whatever your matchup is for the night. On a system, you might have 60 different buttons that exist that, instead of them living as video files in the grid, we can just replace it with one graphic each. And then we're going to tie that logic to that graphic to decide what video goes inside of that graphic. So this is obviously the look that we're trying to achieve here. This is something that somebody might play either at like an intermission point where things have sort of died down. You might integrate it with some sponsorship, but you might also, you'll definitely be playing this usually as fans are entering the bowl before the game starts. Doors are open. This is sort of the first thing that goes up. So let's try to make it more flexible so it ties in with that control panel that we just went over, and the different sorry, I'm just moving my windows around, the different tri-codes and ways of manipulating things. So first thing that I like to do, I like to start the graphic off in ClickFX. That way I know that all of the different transitions in and out for calling these graphics up are good and ready to go. So I'm just going to go here and say create a graphic. We'll go ahead and adjust it to look at the right player. So this is going to be the one for my ring. I'm just going to add a text object just to throw something in there, and then we're just going to save it. So let's name this something that makes sense to us, and we're going to put it down into our basketball folder so we can find it nice and easily. Let's say this is our matchup 360, since that's going on the 360 board. And then let's close this guy out, and I'll do another graphic and make sure it's pointed to the main screen where I want the resolution to sort of adjust there. And then I can just go ahead and add another text object and save this guy out. And again, we're going to point it to the right file location. And this is going to be our matchup 16-9. Perfect. So we have these two graphics that are saved out. Let's go ahead and get out of Click Effects and pop back over to Prime so we can then make some of these links to the parameters and tie them to the right videos. This is something that, especially now as our team gets more and more proficient in creating some of these workflows using Prime control panels and some of the logic that can be baked in. These are things that, especially in the last handful of months, a lot of customers that are getting ready for basketball season and getting new systems, stuff that we'll walk them through in the training, and their kind of mind starts to explode a little bit, saying, "Wow, I see a lot of functionality for it." And as you'll be able to see in a second when I go through this, but just how easy it is to really do it for calling what video to play. Very, very straightforward to create something that just calls a specific video. So I'm popping over to basketball here, and let's start with our 360. So we'll go right click it, we'll edit it. As you can see here, obviously this is a really, really thin resolution. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab our clip. So we have all of our content on our system here, but I want to put it into the right place within Prime. So let's pop over here. And as you saw me navigate to when I imported into Click Effects, we have these two different folders here, 16.9 and 360. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just rename a couple of these things. So first we're going to move them and then we're going to rename them. So if I go here and I'm just copying, and then we'll pop back over to our Prime section here. We'll go to projects, find the location that we're currently working in, the project that we're working in, go into clips. And then here, actually, you know what? I'll move everything over first here. Give me 2 seconds. Just gonna pop back. I'm just copying this matchup video folder, and we're moving over to Prime. And we're going to put everything in our clips section here. So pasting it into clips just to make a copy. And then just to make things very, very easy to understand and as simple as possible, like I said, really, really into making things like as simple as possible, we're just going to rename them to the tricode that they are associated with. So obviously we have our Chicago video. We're going to make this Dallas. And you can see there's kind of new files that are popping up, these PPC files. These are all references for Prime. So as we're bringing it into the Prime system, Prime's kind of making a bit of, the way that I understand it, it's sort of bit of like a kind of a proxy that we're going to be able to understand some of the metadata that's in these videos. And that's just a function of importing it into the actual software here. Looks like I double clicked one. Go ahead and exit that. Now that we're almost done here, one more to do. Cool. So now we have these 6 videos. And again, these would be any of your different matchups that you might want to set up. Even if you had different looks. So, you might have a big popular thing nowadays is like a City Connect look. Or, maybe there's a holiday, it's your Christmas or New Year's game, that sort of thing. So again, you can kind of name them logically or put them in specific places that make sense. So the next thing that we're going to do, now that we've kind of renamed these to something very simple, our tricode, they're going to match up. We only have 6 of them, so we got to be careful which tricodes that we call to actually get this up and going. But let's go ahead and start bringing some of those into our scene here. So we'll go flip. And then on the right-hand side, we'll go to our file. Now we have to navigate to that file that we just created and brought over and renamed. So if I pop over here, we have our matchup videos and 360. Now we can see the six different files that we have in there. We'll start with the Chicago one. You can see I just go ahead and click that, and it's already brought it in. If I wanted to, I could play it out and see it kind of run through within my GUI here. The next step is tying this video file to the parameter that we're going to change from our control panel there. So like I said, we have a couple different varieties of parameters: the scene level, the project level, and the application level. So if I wanted to bring in one of those project parameters or application parameters that already exists out there, I can go to link parameter in my parameters and expression window, link parameter, and here are all the different project parameters that I have. The two that we're looking at for this particular project, away and home. Those two different tri-code values that get adjusted in the control panel. So as I'm popping these guys out here, you can see they're already referencing those two different values, the last values that I had entered. So since we're always the home team in this particular case, this build or this box, let's picture it, it's living inside of Toronto's Scotiabank Arena. That's why it's a Toronto Raptors graphic. And tonight they're playing against the Chicago Bulls. So I don't need to really worry about the home parameter because in our case, we don't care. It's always going to be Toronto playing. But again, these could be different parameters if we did want to make it really specific and drill down. So I'm going to remove this home parameter because we don't really care about it. We just want to know who's the visiting team, who's the matchup that we're calling. So we have this HOU for Houston. Obviously, that's not one of the teams that we have going on here. But what we're going to do is we're going to create an expression to then add everything into that parameter to point it at the right file. So we'll go here and say add expression. And I like to start these expressions with X for expression. Let's call this X matchup set. So this is what is actually going to do the combination of parameter with a couple different text values, and then we're going to bind that to the file that this video is looking at. So what we can do right off the hop, I can say this parameter, let's go ahead and bind that to our X matchup set dot value. Or actually, you know what? We're not going to take it this direction. Again, in Prime, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it, but we'll do it right within the expression here. So I'll kind of slide this across so you'll be able to see me building it. If I go here and click on my clip, one thing that we want to try to get is the actual file location of this. So it's in clips, matchup videos, 360. So if I go ahead and open this, really easy way to sort of just get the file path for it. And it's not going to be too concerned about it shouldn't be about flips, but we'll try it out here. We'll go here. And we're going to put some quotation marks so it'll just keep the text that's in there. So matchup videos 360. We have another backslash there, and then another bracket. And as I press enter from this, you can see it's translated that over to my value here. The next thing that we want to do is we need to add that parameter that we just made. So that tri-code that's coming in. And this will tie directly to the name of the videos that we went and renamed. So I'll do a space and a plus and another space, and then we will call this, I'll start typing away for the away parameter dot value. And again, another way to sort of just check through things if they're working, I just clicked enter on that box, and now you can see it's added that HOU. To see it change quickly, let's go ahead and change this to Chai for Chicago. You can see it's changed to Chai for Chicago. Let's go ahead and add one more thing to the end of this, because all of these video files, they obviously have a file extension associated with them. So in our case here, if we pop this guy open, and if I move some of my windows around so you can see it again, you can see we're working with MOVs. So all of these guys that we have in here, their QuickTime videos, their file extension is .mov. So I will go ahead and get rid of the expression that just got added, but I'm going to go and add another sort of text value into this, again, using my quotation marks, .mov, another quotation mark to end it. And I didn't add my plus into there. That's something that's very crucial. So I'll go plus, enter, and now you can see the value of this expression pumps out matchup videos, /360 / my away parameter, so that value that gets changed in the control panel, and then .mov. So that's sort of the way that this value is getting created or compiled together. So let's go, and the next thing to do is tie this value over to our actual file. So we do that by binding it. This last sort of section here, we're going to bind that to clip1.file. And you can see here as I'm typing in, it sort of gives you some hints in terms of what can you actually type in here. So associated with clip1, here are all the different values that I can make an adjustment to or tie something to. So in regards to moving the origin of something, the position of something, muting a clip, changing an input on something, playing it, pausing it, that can all be tied directly to a value. But in this case, we just want to point to the right file. So I'll click enter. And now that we're back here, let's see if it's actually going to look at the right spot. We have Dallas is another team in there, so DAL. So again, this is how we sort of work through things, is we're going to go ahead and check our work and see if it ended up working. You can see I just changed the value of the parameter. And again, that's the project parameter that gets set by a control panel associated with the GIP, the first thing that we went over. And now anytime that I change this value here, illustrating a change happening on that control panel, let's say I'll change it back to Chai. You can see my video sort of disappears and comes back for a second, but the most important thing, if we look over, we're pointed at our clip, we look on the properties pane and look to our file, you can see it's pointed at the Chicago file. And now I play it out, and yep, that's definitely playing the Bulls. Let's go ahead and change that back to Dal for Dallas and just make sure, again, it's playing the right video. Yep, now it's playing the Mavericks. Great. So just like that, and again, I know there are a couple different steps to it. And personally, I find doing these things, that sort of ingrains it into your mind a little bit more than just listening. But hopefully that'll kind of prove to be a bit of a step-by-step guide to be able to go through and do this, if you were so inclined to. If I didn't already have a control panel set up, what I could do to set one of those up, just to walk you through that as well, you could just go over here on the left-hand side in my toolbox, click on control panel. That's going to pop up that new window that we kind of went over before. And then from there, I'm just going to go grab this text box. And that's for this particular thing, that's all you need. You could add a label to it if you did want to add some contextual text to it, saying like, this is my away team. And then from there, kind of how we showed before, we're just going to add it under our binding section on the right to our away parameter. So away parameter value, I'll click that. You can see DAL's already popped into my text. But if I wanted, let's say, I'm changing it back to Chicago, click enter, you can see it's already changed my parameter value down there. So super, super straightforward to be able to build these things and kind of walk through it. Since we're using that project parameter, I'm going to delete that. And I'll even delete my control panel here because we don't need it for this particular use case. All this graphic's doing is listening to that other control panel and making changes to itself. So we've done it for the 360. Let's see how we're doing on time here. It's 1:53. And you know what? I'm cool with doing one more just to try to drill it home here. I'll kind of run through it without going crazy into detail. But I'm just going to go and make some of these changes again so we can kind of see it happen in multiple places. Now we're doing the 16:9 version of this. So again, this is just renaming it so that our our expression will stay super duper simple. So it's just looking at that try code. But if you didn't want to rename this, you could just add, you know, another text portion to that expression. So I'm cool with all of those. That's great. And then now we're going over to our 16:9 file here, and we'll edit it. I'm going to get rid of that text box that I already created. Go ahead and add that clip. We'll point the clip at the right spot. So now we're looking at 16:9. Here are the different videos that we have in there. Again, test that it plays out. Looks good on the screen. Sizing's all good. We're good. Awesome. Now let's link that project parameter. And we just need the away one, right? Because we're just looking at that side. We'll go to our expression. We'll add an expression. Say X. Matchup set. Great. Now we need to point it to that file location. So quotation. Let's go back to our file explorer. This is the easiest way that I find it. We'll go prime, projects, B24, clips, matchup videos, and 16:9 this time. And again, you just need this portion since it's already in prime. We just need the portion after clips because we know for a video clip, it's always going to be in that clips folder. And we'll go ahead and put that there. And then we'll add another slash on this side of it and another quotation mark. Again, I can test it's moving that over. Great. I'm adding the away parameter value that we just brought in. And then I am adding .mov to the end of it, since we want it to look at that particular file. You can see it's already changed. And then all we need to do, like I said, the next step, just binding it to that actual clip .file. So the file that's associated with clip one. Excuse me. Now we can go ahead and check our work. So if I go ahead and change this value to DAO, it's going to change the video to DAO. Now I'm going to play it. And we still have the Chicago Bulls. So I've clearly made some sort of issue here where it's not pulling the right video. Let's go ahead and see what we did wrong. So if I go Chicago and click OK, and I go to DAO and click OK, let's make sure that it changed it. Perfect. I think maybe if I look back and what's actually being presented in there, and let's make a change so it's pushing another video. So we'll change our value. And we look in here to see what's actually being pushed. I don't think it needs this particular slash. Yeah, so that's what's causing the issue. So that first backslash, that's what's causing the issue there. So again, we just want to make sure that it's completely happy with the value that it's punching out. And hopefully that was something useful just to be able to see how you might troubleshoot something like that if the right file's not coming up. Let's go ahead and say that I plan to do that. Great. And just double checking. Now we have Dallas Mavericks coming up. Sweet. Cool. So I'm happy with both of these graphics. Let's go ahead and double check that these actually work on the playout side of things and actually work with our control panel changing. So a really cool thing is since Prime and ClickFX are pretty much the same thing nowadays, I can play out these graphics in Prime and validate my work right here. So like we had before, we have our basketball scoreboard. You can see here, this is that control panel that we had open in ClickFX. Compress transfer. This is just a preview popping up here. So obviously it's not the best quality, but you can kind of see the point. I'm going to change my visit try code to Chicago, and you can see that's changed there. Great. Let's go ahead and check that our 16:9 matchup actually worked for it. So I can drag that in as well. Press play, and it's not playing. Okay, great. This is one more thing that we need to go ahead and troubleshoot. So one thing in Prime, there are different command timelines. So different keyframes that we can add to this timeline. So we can say on effect in, what do we want to do? So we'll go to our ClickFX in section here. We'll go to, you know what, on the effect in, we're going to add something into this drop down here. So on effect in, here are all the different things that are going on in my scene. We're going to go to clip and we're going to go to play. Let's go ahead and save that out. So now we're saying anytime that this graphic affects in, let's go ahead and play it. Play that video that's in there. So let's go and test that now. So we'll save everything on the way out. I'll drag it in. Now you can see as I play it out, it's actually playing the video, and it's changed over to Chicago. Let's bring in our control panel. So this different graphic that has the control panel that's tied to it. I will change the team to Dallas, click enter, see the video's restarted, and now it's pointing at the right video, the Dallas Mavericks video, instead of the Chicago Bulls video. Just like we made the change to this 16:9 graphic, we need to go and make that change to our 360 graphic. So pop over here, go to clip, and on effect in, we're going to play clip 1. Going to go Control S to save and save it. And again, even though this output isn't really designed for that 360, let's go ahead and click and drag this up here. We'll see something play out, and we might be able to decipher that it's looking at the right stuff. Otherwise, we'll pop back over to Click Effects and get it going. Make sure everything's working over there. So I'm gonna exit out of Prime, and I don't need to go back into it. Just make sure client Prime is all closed out. And again, guys, I know this has been definitely way more in depth than yesterday. But if you do have any questions at all, definitely reach out in the chat here. If there's anything that comes up, if you rewatch this or somebody else is watching this at a different time, 100% without a hesitation, just reach out to us if you did want to go over any of this stuff, or if you needed help sort of implementing any of these more technical things into your projects. Cool. All right. Now we have Click Effects opened up. Let's pop over to where our graphics are. If I go into it now, you go to the editor, you can see obviously there's a video in there. One thing that I like to do just to make things a little bit more cohesive with the rest of your grid, because you can see the thumbnail for these, they're just black right now. So we'll go ahead and make a thumbnail for these, something that kind of makes sense. Save it out, close it, and do the same for this guy. And maybe we zoom out and make this a little bit neater for us. The other thing here, you can see this is on the first frame of the video. If we did want to try to play it through a little bit to see what's going on in the video, could pop open here and go to Scene Action Control. And for Effect In, should be able to click and drag. Maybe we'll take a different approach to it, and we will go to our Animation tab. And you know what, I lied. I think we would have to go back and adjust this over on the Prime side of things. So let's just bypass this for now and close that guy down. Just to organize it again, just so it makes sense. We have all of these different playout items here, all these different videos for your matchups, a list up top here for all of them going to one board, a list down below going to another board. This could be a massive, undertaking if you have, like 60 different versions of this. If we have 60 different versions, everything gets really, really busy. So let's just do this logic sort of portion of the work so that it's nice and easy and simple for our operators. And so now it's just as easy as clicking these graphics and sending them out to program. We can see both of them are tied to Dallas Mavericks. Again, I'll go back to my demo tab here that has the rest of my graphics that are tied to these parameters. We'll go to our game look. So now everything's kind of popping up. You can see my ring's gotten taken over by a sponsor. So we can go ahead and pop this open and make sure that we take that off. And I'll stop this guy here. But the main thing that we want to show is that when I pop this open as well, let's go ahead and we'll put some basketball video in the background of that. And we'll toggle our live source on so we have something that looks good there. Pop open our scene control panel. Pop open the control panel that we tied everything to. And I'll go ahead and make sure that this is outputting again. Second here. So now we're outputting everything. Now if I go to my visiting team, again, this control panel is really just for the visiting team to be able to affect that matchup graphic that's coming on. And let's go ahead and change it to, what was another team that was in there? Sorry, Dallas and Chicago. We'll click enter. You can see these are playing again, and now they've got the Chicago Bulls. You can see on all of our GIPs, it's been changed to have the Chicago Bulls and their backgrounds and their text and everything like that. Again, the purpose of this, making your operators' lives a lot easier. It's a little bit of pre-pro work that you'll need to do to sort of get it there. But at the end of the day, we're trying to get back time, especially if it's freelancers or, students coming in to run your shows, stuff that you can set up on the pre-pro. So it's really, really straightforward and easy for them to run through it. That's definitely a bonus in my mind. Another cool thing, just to show how many things that this could affect as well, I went ahead and in Logan's headshot rotator, I actually put the home team. So these guys, they play for Atlanta. So that would be the look for the Atlanta headshot rotator. Changes the background, changes the sort of subheader background there, the sort of color flare up in the top left. Really, really cool and flexible for operators. Cool. Now that I've just spoken for a good hour or so about Prime control panels, the last thing that we have on our list that I'll run through here is the automation, because I know we have maybe another 20 minutes to sort of get through this stuff, and might as well. So in regards to automation, what are we talking about? A lot of this, especially when we're talking about sports, what can we do when we see certain data come in that we want to react to? So for instance, basketball is a great example. Obviously there's different scoring that happens quite a bit throughout the game. Somebody could get a free throw, that's 1 point, just a shot within the key, 2 points, or a 3-pointer. Also within that, you could have somebody do a slam dunk, and that's another sort of point of the game where you really want some automation to maybe take over to automatically do something. Easiest example, tying graphics or timing to data that's coming in is a 3-pointer. It's really defined, obviously. When you hit a 3-pointer, you get 3 points, and we want something to fire onto our boards when that happens. So again, using our control panel here, and I just shook away the background screen, but using this control panel to go ahead and adjust things. You can see down below game setup, I have clock control, so a variety of different controls that are tied directly to this game in progress graphic. I also have the score that's tied to it. So, visit score goes up by 2 points to 47. Perfect. And you can see a change within the graphic. This would usually be done by like a game controller. So somebody in the building who's actually pressing the start and stop, and, this team got this point, whatever. In this case, we're just doing it through these values here. But again, it would work the exact same the other way. So what I've done is I've made it so anytime the home team gets a 3-pointer, there's going to be a different graphic that pops up onto my SDI1 output. So this window right here, and ideally this would be like a 3-point graphic or something across those lines. So if I change my home team score by 2 points, so 68 to 70, nothing happens. 70 to 71, nothing happens. If I go up by 3 points, so 70 to 74 or 71 to 74, click enter, you can see I have a make some noise graphic or video pop up on the screen. And that just happened automatically. Obviously, that was nothing that I did. It's just reacting to the actual graphics, or sorry, reacting to the actual data coming in. So go ahead and take that off. You can see everything sort of animating out now, and we can create some cool workflows to be able to take that off really seamlessly. But let's go look how we actually did that. The method that we used is under our settings here, and it's trigger settings. So you can see there are a couple that are already built here. The main one that we just used was 3-point. And again, you could have any list of these. You can enable them and disable them if an operator wants to use it versus another operator doesn't want to use it. In this case, how you would make a new one is just pressing this plus button here. But since we already have this made, sort of go through it nice and quick here for you. I could either right click and disable it, and that would pop down. So if there were a 3-pointer, nothing would happen. So to enable it, I'll go ahead and right click it again and enable it. To edit it, I'll pop up to this sort of edit button right here. I have to highlight it, obviously. And then now, similar to the other dialog boxes that Logan kind of walked through, kind of dropping top from bottom or top to bottom, we have our name. I just named it 3-point. If you did want the system to prompt you before actually playing out that graphic, you could click this button right here. And it gives you some options. So auto cancel is saying, after I prompt you for 5 seconds, if you don't say yes, we're just going to cancel that. And then auto execute, which is the inverse. So if I prompt you and it's taken 5 seconds and you didn't say no, it's just going to push the graphic out. So gives you, your operator, a little bit of like a last second, oh, I actually don't want to play this. Or, oh yeah, I do want to play that. Thanks for reminding me. So that's really cool. And this is where you can set that duration. I just said 5 seconds because it kind of, basketball is really quick. And you know, you don't usually want 5 seconds. The other team could be at the other end of the court by then if it was sort of a fast break. But again, digging into how you would actually do this, I'll leave this prompt before executing up. But essentially, all you would need to do in this next section here, you would need to say, which button do I want to play? So which media do I want to play when this happens? In this case, it's this Make Some Noise 1920 workflow. But if I just popped over here, went into organizer mode on my grid, I could literally just drag, you know, any button that already exists into there. I'll get rid of this guy just by removing it. Cool. And then now that I have the button that I want to play or the content that I want to play, down below, I have the actual calculation and sort of parameters within ClickEffects to say, okay, what do I want to look for to validate? Yes, I want to go ahead and trigger this. So you can add a variety of these if there were multiple, you know, conditions that it needed to meet or multiple statements that it needs to meet. In this case, for 3-pointer, all we're looking for is something to be increased by 3. So if I were doing this from scratch, let's just say 3-pointer. And then now that I have it created on the left-hand side, we'll go ahead and add a data source into this. So traditionally, you guys would be looking at your game controller to do this. So we'll look at the DAC basketball TV feed. And here, since obviously we don't want to play this when the visit team scores because we're not, you know, we're the home show right now. Let's go ahead and look at the home team score. Click OK. And we're looking at a number in this case, obviously, because it's going to be the score going from a certain number to a certain number. And then here's sort of your statement. So I want to see the difference. So the current value is increased by equals 3. So those different values there, and again, you can get really granular with what you're looking for, but the idea here is let's take a look at the value that's currently in there. When it's increased by 1, we're not doing anything. Increased by 2, we're not doing anything. As soon as it's increased by a value of 3 numbers, we're going to go ahead and do this trigger that we've just set up. Go ahead and click OK. And just by saying that, that's how you would set something like this up. You can go ahead and close it, but I'm just going to remove this one for now, since we already have it set up with a different data source. Like I said, our control panel. And then now you'll be able to see what it would actually look like as well if we had like the auto execute turned off. So if I go down to my demo and I pop back open that control panel that's attached to this scoreboard demo, pop this here, cool. And you can see, pop this window open for you. And now for our home score. So again, going from 74 to 75, nothing happens. 75 to 76 or 77, illustrating a 2-pointer, nothing happens. It's going 77 to 80, click enter. Now it's prompting me here. If I did want to play it, I go ahead and click the play button and it sends it out. So, hope you guys learned a lot from that today. Hope that there's some good sort of teachings and things you might be able to visit back to or revisit if you did want to implement any of these things into your show. I think they're really, really useful tools, especially the control panel side of things. You can get really, really complicated with it or keep it as simple as you've seen in the sort of video selector today. But I hope that you guys can see the value in these things as well, because they definitely save people a lot of time, and our operators out there absolutely love it. That's pretty much it for me today. I believe after this, I think Owen's got a couple things to say just about some other stuff from the sales perspective. Or maybe if Brian wants to jump in, I'm not sure if Owen's Mike's.
Sure, I'm happy to jump in. Really happy that you guys had a chance to get a look at these tips and tricks and whatnot. I know that that call went in a little deep there, and it's something you'll definitely want to record and rewind and record. I know I'll take some more look at what he presented today as well. If you guys have any questions about your setup, you have any questions about support, you have any questions about items that you might be interested in, we have a full plethora of products that we sell at venues. We'd love to give you an opportunity to do a demo, do a remote demo, do a demo live for you. Either way, just give us a call. Know that we have a website here for you guys with support, help.chyron.com. There's a lot of things in here. There's videos, there are tips and tricks, PDFs. There are a lot of resources here for you guys as operators. And again, after that, your best resource is reaching out to us directly, and we're always happy to answer any questions or help out as much as we can. We'll go on ahead and add to the video here at the end contact information for our team, and we hope that this was beneficial to you and your team. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.